Hey guys, and welcome to today's show where we are going to be talking to Derek Mayberry from Vana Magazine. He sat with us at Barber Vintage Fest in the Isle of Triumph, another one of the vendors out there, and we were able to talk about the film festival they have going on as well as the next issues they have coming out. This is, I believe, fall 23. It's got Vicky Golden on the back, but give it a listen, give it a watch, and we'll see you. Just as the race starts, so does the podcast. How the hell are you?
I'm doing all right, Sam. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How's it going for you, this event?
Not bad. Been really fortunate with good weather and a great crowd. Really, a lot of enthusiasm from not just Triumph fans, but just motorcycle fans in general. So a lot of great positive feedback, a lot of interest and enthusiasm in the Motorcycle Film Festival that we're kicking off in 9 days in Atlanta. So yeah, it's been a really good event.
And you've been to Barber before?
I haven't, actually, oddly enough. I've been to many moto events, but this one just seems to have gotten away from me year over year. And with Triumph support, they've asked that we come and activate on the Isle of Triumph. We definitely thought it was an opportunity that we shouldn't miss. So really fortunate to be here for the first time, and I can say it's definitely not going to be the last.
I agree. And so, for those of you who don't know, I'll just assume Cody's got me framed up perfectly here. What am I holding?
You're actually holding our fall 22 edition, right? So we brought a variety of books, including our current issue, for fans here to pick up and experience either again or maybe for the first time.
And so this magazine comes together biannual?
Oh, it's actually quarterly at the
Quarterly.
moment. Yeah, so we'll do one every season. We do a spring, summer, fall, and winter. So it's on a quarterly basis.
And so you guys are curating and finding the best moto content to go inside the...
So like we say, it's about motorcycles, the people that ride them, and the places that they bring us. It's all storytelling. We don't really focus on anything that's, current model of our motorcycle. We don't review gear. As you can tell, it's very art forward, and it's driven by storytelling.
Is that a big hurdle when you're not, doing the gear reviews because you're having to generate your funds elsewhere? From the typical sponsors that'd be like, oh yeah, well.
Yeah, there's plenty of people out there doing that, right? And I know that there's a ton of YouTubers, and even on the digital format, magazine, you'll find a lot of gear reviews. You see gear reviews through Revzilla and other formats. So we didn't feel that's just really not us, right? We want to keep the content evergreen. We wanted you to be able to pull, fall of 22 off the shelf and fall of 23, and the content is, very
equally
similar
relevant.
and consistent. Right.
Yeah. And so what was it even to get into that space? Like I've never considered I should start a magazine. Like what was that conversation and who was it with that was like a good idea?
Yeah. Well, that's probably a better question for either Ben or Andrew. Those are the co-founders. They're out. Andrew's somewhere probably loading content, and Ben is unfortunately not here with us right now, but that's probably a better question for them. But I do know that as things were moving into that digital space about 10 years ago and picking up steam, they decided to challenge themselves and kind of go against the grain, right? And I think what made it work was not only their passion and their dedication, but the fact that they're a small team, right? Even now, there's only 3 of us that really do this. We have a ton of support through some great partnerships we have with the creatives and photographers and filmmakers, and it really helps support the content overall. But the day-to-day core team is still fairly small.
And so your role at Vana is?
Yeah, depends on the day.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, I think my title is associate publisher, which fits, but at the same time, it's brand relations, business development, activating at events, and sometimes it's order fulfillment. It really depends on what the demand is of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so running into you guys here and then seeing the activation.
Yeah.
We're pushing the Film Fest.
Right. So the Film Fest is, something that we've talked about for a while, and we just finally decided we need to make it come to fruition, right? We reached out with some of our partners to help support. Triumph was a huge support. They showed a ton of interest and enthusiasm behind it. So much so that the grand prize winner is going to win a brand new Triumph T120 Black
Ooh.
at the end of the 6-city tour. So it's really a call to action, reaching out there to filmmakers and aspiring creatives and say, hey, go make a short film, 5 to 10 minutes generally. Make it moto themed, moto focused, tell a story, right? Inspire us and others who see it. And what we're going to do, and we're currently doing at the moment, is we're paring down all the submissions to our top 9. We're going to leave a 10th position open to what we call the last chance qualifier, but
LCQ.
basically it's a people's choice.
Yeah.
We're going to post those 9 on our website, and it's going to be a week-long voting period. And whoever gets the most votes, they're going to slide into that 10th position, and they'll go on tour with us and a 6-city stop between now and it's going to wrap up April of 2024. We're
Okay.
kicking it off, as I'd mentioned, in Atlanta.
October
on the
17th.
Yep.
And so how many submissions did you?
Well, I think it was close to 70 altogether. And when you're talking, films that that last, 10, 15 minutes, maybe more, it takes a bit to get through them because you owe it to the people who made that submission and made that content to give it your full focus once, twice, even 3 times, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. It really made our job pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Well, I'm excited to come to the show. So how's the show going to work out? I've been to film festivals. I've been to the different experiences.
Yeah. So what we've done is we're really targeting theaters that have been around a while, right? That have a proper marquee, that have character, and that's what we want. We want to keep it small. We want to keep it intimate, but we also want it to have character, and maybe even the building itself tells a story. So. Yeah, so smaller venues and interesting towns will start in Atlanta on the 17th. November 2nd, we'll be in our hometown of Denver at the Oriental Theater. And then we'll pick it back up in January, likely Phoenix, followed up in LA in February, Austin in March, and then we're going to wrap up the series in Portland in April.
So you guys work a lot in the motorcycle space. You work with different OEMs. You have kind of your hand on the pulse of what's cool and relevant, fair?
On the pulse of what?
What's relevant?
What's relevant? Yeah.
You try to.
Yeah, we try to, right?
Would you say that there's one brand or company or motorcycle that wants to be relevant, like they're like more interested in the art scene, they want to be like, forward thinking versus like, oh man, can't get them to move on that. Like they can't move the needle because they're just like stuck in their ways or like.
That's hard. I think I have to be careful what I say because we work with a lot of different OEMs, right?
Yeah.
And each one has its own special characteristics, and it also has its own unique fan base, I would say, right? We don't work with a lot of Japanese OEMs, which I would think are maybe lean that direction, right? That are more focused on highlighting the technology and the engineering, and not to say that Triumph and BMW and some of the other brands that we work with don't have that, but I think there's more heritage and there's more spirit and there's more focus and emphasis put on that with some of the brands like a Triumph or a BMW or even a Harley.
So who are your typical readers? Like who is your demographic?
Well, we try to celebrate all genres of motorcycling, right? And we'd like to think that it's a pretty broad spectrum of readers and followers, right? Anyone that wants to feel inspired or motivated and can relate to the content, we hope that they pick up the pages. It's not just your off-road guy or your long haul touring guy or your motocross guy. It's something that we'd like to appeal to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully our reader base and our followers is a pretty broad spectrum of riders.
And so specific to, you mentioned 10 years ago when they kind of formed the space and moved with all the going from publications to more digital, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys forecast that this will always be a coffee table book? We're not concerned, it's not going anywhere, but like, XYZ, they're falling off and they're not being able to keep up and they're just like, nobody's ad sales and all these things that are just not what they used to be.
Yeah.
How do you guys think you're going to navigate that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We've been fortunate enough to have really great brand partnerships. The ad budgets for our partners have always been there to help support the publication. Our ad ratio in the book is on the lighter side. It always has been, and we'd like to keep it that way. But to answer your question, I think first and foremost, we'll always be a publication first. regardless of frequency and how many releases we do in a year, we'll be a print publication first. We do have a lot of what you see, if not everything, in the digital space, on our website, on Instagram, through social channels. A lot of times there's video components that accompany what you see in print. So we do have that, and we always will. But what we'd like to start focusing on, whether it's kind of stretching our legs a little through something like a film festival, and it's also this brand, right? Vana. As a brand, we'd like to build that brand above the publication, or beyond the publication, I should say, because I think there's so much there, you know, whether it's apparel or partnerships or collaborations that where people kind of want a piece of it, right? And then, you know, whether it's a shirt, or we just had a really strong collaboration with Danner with their Moto boot. They just released. We're going to have, you know, I don't know if this is top secret, but we'll have the Vana version come out in the spring that we're really excited about.
Cool.
Yeah. So we've done collaborations with 100% Goggles and other companies, and we kind of want to push that along and have more product out there with our name on it.
And so is that kind of like what you're forecasting is like the next thing? Has apparel always been a part of Vana?
It has, just on the lighter side, you know, t-shirts, you know, beanies, hoodies,
Yeah.
you know, nothing of significance. But lately, with this past year, we've had a really great opportunity to grow relationship and partnerships with true apparel makers and support them in what they're doing. And there's been talks to have that kind of reciprocated to where we can elevate what we offer from a product standpoint, where it's not just you know, a t-shirt, but maybe it's a wax canvas jacket or something that you would actually ride with, you know?
So then getting back to specifically the publication, to be a coffee table book, is there proper placement for a coffee table book? Like if I have a stack of yours, do I want a nice fan spread, or do I want a stack?
It's personal preference.
Personal preference?
Even if you look at our houses, like, I know Ben has some up on his wall, which is really cool.
Nice mount, okay.
I have mine stacked like you'd find them in a library vertically. So,
yeah, National Geographic style.
Yeah, whatever your chosen aesthetic is as far as how you want to sort them.
And then specific to the product that's used, like touching it, feels like quality, like you know, material. Like it's almost like a book.
Yeah.
It's less a magazine.
Yeah, that's one thing we like to hang our hat on, is we've really never compromised in the quality of
it's good
the actual
binding.
print. Yeah,
it's good binding.
It's really good paper. That's one thing we don't cut corners on. Is the
no, they're
the
square.
Physical
it's
product.
actually 90. It's not cut.
No. Yeah.
I tried. It was my dad joke for the podcast there. No, I mean it feels good and it looks good.
Thank you.
And so, what is the process when you're rushing to the printer? Like, how is that? Where it's like, how many revisions does it go through before you're like, okay?
I'll say this. I mean, hats off to Ben Giese. He's our art director, chief editor. He does all of the layout, right? He collects the content. He comes up with a theme. He's been writing the forwards. He's just really great with not only, you know, the way he lays out the format, but the theme behind it is the words he uses, and I feel lucky that I get to kind of preview every volume before it actually goes into print, and it's always a special time because as soon as one is in the can, so to speak, and goes to print, he's already working on the next one, you know, and you know, over the months collecting the content and working with creatives, and a lot of time he's actually on location, you know, with these people as a true part of the project. So as for how many revisions it actually goes through, that's again a question for Ben.
Yeah. Okay. So how long have you been working with Vana?
Let's see, full time now, 2 years, almost 2 years. The background for about 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
What in the publication space, is that what would it be?
Sure.
What are some kind of like insider experiences that come about because of this? Like I don't work in you know, I don't do this, so I don't know what kind of like, you know, weird parties or experiences or like, you know, who actually follows, or what is that like?
It's interesting. I would say a lot of it's just activating either events where you get to meet people and shake hands and hear their stories, and it's a lot of times it's interesting to see them discover Vana for the first time and subscribe. And but my experience personally is a lot of times, whether I'm in the magazine. A lot of times I've got a helmet on, and you know, it's good for me and my personality to kind of be in the background of things, to be a part of it, right? To either show up in content, or every once in a while, I've had the privilege of writing editorial for the magazine. So again, it kind of goes back to doing multiple things for the magazine. I wouldn't say there's any wild and crazy.
Well, my mind goes to like Hunter S. Thompson style. I'm like, well, I don't know what you guys are into.
Yeah. Well, I think Hunter S. Thompson is definitely an inspiration for Ben, and kind of that look and the feel and the overall storytelling, aspect of the content. Yeah.
Is there a benchmark, like a pinnacle of what like a coffee table book should be like? Well, you gotta. What's like the base level, like the status quo? Like what is metrics of success when it comes to, other than sales?
Yeah, I mean, sales is always a metric that we keep our eyes on. How many are selling at newsstands or Barnes and Noble, and how many subscriptions, watching our subscription base grow volume over volume. I think that's always a good measure, But as far as a benchmark, like the one you have under this, kind of the hard copy, we would eventually like to get into this space, right, where we have an annual, maybe even an ad-free annual, where we're partner with our brands that we currently work with to kind of prop up that storytelling, right, and have an ad-free annual that we can offer our readers and our followers to something. And we hope that's the reason we have such a high quality product, is that we hope that they do keep them as a collection, right, and that they do display them in one form or fashion, or that they can go back to them and reread them. But ultimately, we've been talking about that as well. It's kind of even pushing the bar a little further.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say you're not far from it, because just as these have been, dressage for our new space,
Well,
they truly are pieces of art in themselves. And so I can only imagine when it's at the level of like a hard copy or whatever, that it'll live on shelves for years to come, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and these stories, these are little memory pockets, especially for these individuals in here.
Right.
I'm sure they like thumb through often, and they're like, a tear in their eye.
I know, and I mean, it does strike emotion, and we've had that feedback from not only what's in print, but some of the videos that we do. Whether it's a father-son relationship, or a best friend relationship, or experiencing loss. I think a lot of that, everyone can relate to that in some form or fashion, and it does strike a chord. It does with me, and I hope it does with most of the readers.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. So why don't you tell our friends where they can find all things Vana?
Vana.com, VAHNA.com. Feel free to subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe to the magazine. Follow us on our email newsletter that comes out periodically. And that's really it. Instagram is vana.moto at the time.
Yep.
So at this time, follow us there.
Is that something you're seeking out? You want to get the individual name?
Yeah, that's in process.
Okay.
Right now it has to be .moto, but follow us on our website. Feel free to subscribe. As I mentioned, Barnes and Noble. I think Books A Million in Canada. We distribute globally. So we'd love to see subscriptions come in from all over. So that's where they can find us.
Well, and then I'll have Andrew back in my actual basement while he's in town in Atlanta for the film festival.
Please do.
And then will I see you on the 17th?
Yeah. I'm going to fly back out to Denver quickly and then back out here for the film festival. Sam, it was great. Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
I look forward to seeing you again on the 17th. And if you do have the time, I'd love for you to check out our space. And as it continues to grow, I hope this is not the last time I have you in my basement.
Okay.
It'll always be weird.
Yeah. Love it. Well, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
All right.